Chapter 3 Review. Read, write, compare, round, add, subtract decimal numbers. The learning intention is to be able to solve decimal word problems. Success criteria: understand the gist, that means reading two ways, determine what you need to find out, work the problem, read, write, compare, add or subtract, and then answer the question with the correct units of measurement. Things that you need before the lesson is just simply story comprehension. Example problem. Dan used a meter stick to measure some seedlings in his garden. One day a corn stalk was 8,500 meters tall. A tomato plant was 850,000 meters tall. A carrot top was 85,000 meters tall. What plant was the shortest? So first thing is just understanding the gist. When I read it the first time, I just want to know what's going on. If I were to think about this problem, I would say Dan's growing some things in a garden. He's growing corn, he's growing tomato, he's growing carrots, and he also measured them with the meter stick. The second time I read it, I want to understand the numbers and what they mean exactly. Dan used the meter stick to measure some seedlings in his garden. One day a corn stalk was 8,500 meters tall. So I know the corn stalk and I know how much it is, or how tall it is. A tomato plant was 850,000 meters tall. So I know how tall the tomato plant is. I'm even thinking and starting to compare the corn and the tomato plant. A carrot top was 85,000 meters tall. I'm also thinking about that in comparison to the other two plants. Which plant was the shortest? Okay, now that I've done all of that and I know that Dan grew some things, the tomato plant is 850,000 meters, the carrot top is 85,000 meters, and the corn stalk is 8,500 meters tall, I'm thinking also that all these numbers sound very familiar, so I'm going to have to do some math to figure out which plant was the shortest. So that's success criteria number 2, trying to figure out what I need to determine. I need to determine which plant is the shortest. So doing that, working the problem, in this case, means that I am comparing these numbers. And the way that I compare these numbers is I'm just going to stack them up and try to look for the places and where they differ. So my corn stalk being 8,500, and we could even write a C for corn. My tomato, or Dan's tomato plant, being 850,000. Notice how I write the decimals and the place values on the left and the right. And then I know once again his carrot, and I'm just going to put CR for carrot, is 85,000. Make sure my decimals are right on top of each other, and the tens place, the hundreds place, and the thousands place. Now that I've done that, I can go ahead and start comparing the numbers from left to right, greatest place value to smallest place value. I'm also going to put a 0 in here as a placeholder, just so if I happen to get to that number, I can compare. So starting here, there is no difference. Moving over to the tens place, and I see that there is a difference there. So I see that there are 2 numbers with 8 tenths, and there is 1 number with 0 tenths. Knowing that tenths is a whole cut up into 10 pieces like that, so taking the whole and cutting it up. I am thinking now that since it's asking for the shortest one, I'm just going to go ahead and only focus on this one. So now that I have that, I need to make sure that I answer in correct units of measurement. So it did not say answer it in the actual height, the meters tall, which would be 85,000 meters tall, but in fact it actually said which plant was the shortest. So I would say then the carrot plant. Carrot plant is the shortest. Okay, let's move on then to some common mistakes. Common mistakes that I see are students failing to make sense of the numbers in the problem. Remember, reading it two ways is going to help you make sense of not only the problem and the story, but also the numbers. Some numbers will not even be used, so make sure you're understanding that. And then which will be subtracted from or compared with. So you need to read it a couple times so you know exactly what you're going to be doing in the problem and which numbers you are going to be subtracting from and what all the numbers mean. Another mistake that I see students do, performs the incorrect operation. So sometimes you might add versus subtracting when you're supposed to subtract. So make sure, once again, you're understanding the problem and what everything means. Understand the information that you need to find out. And then sometimes students heavily rely on keywords. You can't always rely on keywords because sometimes if a problem says to all together, it does not necessarily mean the common adding that most students think. So please make sure you don't just rely on keywords, but you understand what's going on in the problem. And then a last common mistake that I see is fail to ask, does my answer the question? So you need to make sure that you read it back, understand everything that's going on, and also read the question a couple of times. So after you get all of your numbers, ask yourself, does this answer my question? So it helps with being sure the correct work was done. So this will help you to make sure that you actually did subtracting when you were supposed to do subtracting or adding when you were supposed to add. And then it helps with identifying the correct units of measurement. So if you ask yourself, does this make sense? It will also help you with answering with the correct units of measurement. Practice problem number 1. Let's go ahead with this. Remember to do this one step by step by pausing and playing as instructed. So Maggie had $35.13. Then her mom gave her $7.50 for watching her younger brother. She was paid $10.35 for her old roller skates. How much money does Maggie have now? So understanding the gist, the first time around, I just know that Maggie had some money. Her mom gave her some more. She was nice enough to watch her brother. Her mom was nice enough to pay her. And then I also know that she earned more money because she sold some roller skates. Now let's read it again, making sense of the numbers and what everything means. Maggie had $35.13. So I know now that she started off with $35.13. Then her mom gave her $7.50 for watching her younger brother. So I know she got some money from her mom. She didn't get as much as she started with, but she got a little bit more. If I'm even thinking of rounding, I know this number is kind of close to 10. So I'm thinking this is going to go up almost about $10. She was paid then $10.35 for her roller skates. So I know she got even more money, not from her mom, but from another source because she sold her roller skates. It's another about $10 if I was rounding. So I know I'm going to be raising this $35 that she started with about $10 2 times, so about $20. So if I'm estimating in my head, I know it's going to be about close to there. So now that I understand the gist, how much money does Maggie have now? So I need to figure out, now that I know what all the numbers mean, I need to figure out what exactly am I going to do. So I'm trying to figure out how much money she has now, so I know I'm going to be doing some adding. So there's 2 ways to solve this problem. The way that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to figure out how much she earned all together versus just taking this number and adding to it and adding to it. So how much money did she make all together from watching her younger brother and selling her roller skates? Go ahead and do that math, pause, and then check back in. Hopefully the math you did to figure out how much she earned and made from watching her younger brother and from selling her roller skates. I always like to put the number with the largest amount of whole numbers or the largest whole number on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put the $10.35 she made from the roller skates on top, line it up with the decimals, and I'm going to put the $7.50 she made from her mom on the bottom. And I know my operation is adding, so hopefully you said adding. When I do that all together, don't forget your decimal. I see then she made, I was close, about $20. She made $17.85. Your last step is to go ahead and see now how much money does she have now. Figure out what you're going to be either subtracting, adding together. Go ahead and do the work, pause, and check back in. Hopefully you said if she started with $35.13, I'm now going to just be adding how much she made, which was the $17.85, adding that together to see how much money she now has. When I do that, I end up getting $52.98. So let me make sure that this answers the question, how much money does Maggie have now? So my units of measurement then, you can always read, usually I tell students the first 3 words, and it's going to pretty much give away usually your units of measurement. So how much money does Maggie have now? So if I know my numbers are 52 and 98 or just 52 and 98, then I know the units of measurement, how much money? How much money is $52.98. Practice problem number 2. Remember to do this one, all of the work, and then check back in. So I'm going to read it with you first. Beth finished the race in 3 and 3/500 minutes. Anna finished the race in 8/10 minutes less than Beth. Fran finished the race in 1 200 minutes less than Anna. What was Fran's time to finish the race in minutes? Go ahead and read it 2 ways, making sure you understand the problem. Do all the work, pause, and then check back in. So after I read through this problem a few times, I saw that Beth, Anna, and Fran all ran a race. I know that we have Beth's original time of 3 and 3/500 minutes. And then I know that Anne finished her race in 8/10 less. So I know that then Anna's time is going to be less than Beth's. And the way that I would figure that out is by subtracting Beth's time from that time that's less, and I would get Anna's time. And then I know Fran finished the race in 1 200 minutes less than Anna. So in order to figure out Fran's time, I have to take Anna's time, and I have to subtract the difference between the 2 times, and that's going to give me Fran's time. So I know after doing all that work of Anna's time being subtracted by the 8/10, and that's Anna's time now, and then Fran's time subtracting 1 200 from Anna's time gives me Fran's time, and I know Fran finished the race in 1 53/100 minutes. Realize that I have my correct units of measurement because it says what was Fran's time to finish the race, and it even says in minutes. So sometimes it's the first 3 words, and sometimes you have to keep reading the sentence. Okay, so what I want you to make sure that you have is the following. Complete the lesson title, the learning intention, success criteria, example problem that we did first, and then the 2 practice problems that we did, the one where you kept pausing, and then the one where you did all the work by yourself. You don't have to copy the actual story problems, the words, but you need to show all of your work and answers labeled. Last, your lesson homework is coming from Big Book 154, and you need to do problem number 6 with all of the work. And then you also need to turn to Big Book 157, do all of the work for number 22. Don't forget to use your correct units of measurement. Also, last, make sure you add all of this to your table of contents. I'll see you tomorrow.